I'm thrilled to dive into some fascinating tales of everyday conflicts and conundrums from the online community. Join me as we explore the complexities of human nature through these real-life stories, and together, let's try to figure out if I am indeed the asshole in each situation. Am I the butthole for letting my ex-husband go to jail? My ex-husband is currently in jail due to failure to pay child support. It has been 10 years since our separation, 8 since our divorce, and he's only ever paid $75. You can only forgive past child support arrears once, and I did so for the 2 years we were separated, to just get him in to sign the divorce papers. I didn't request child support, but it came mandatory with the divorce, as I was on public assistance at the time. I was able to get it at a lower rate, $350 a month for 2 kids. He never paid, and now it's been years since we've seen or heard from him, yet we live in the same town. He doesn't work, and hasn't in all of this time. He lives with his mom, and they're both addicted to drugs. They survive off her widow's pension and she owns her home. They don't have electric or water services. It used to be such a gorgeous home. He has been to jail multiple times now. Each time, he reached out to me to either ask me to drop the child support or to sign his rights over. The last time was over 2 years ago. I had agreed to the signing of rights over, but he never got back to me, nor did I know how to reach him. This last court hearing, as I'm now at a point in life, I'm no longer on public assistance. The judge asked if I still wanted to pursue support. I said yes, and he is now in jail again. I obviously can function without him. My kids and I struggled for so long, but we managed. I feel guilty, because I know he will never pay, so why am I wasting everyone's time? But on the other hand, I feel this is the only thing keeping him alive. These 6 months of getting clean. And maybe, just maybe, this time he'll stay clean. Am I the asshole? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. You did the right thing, you can't be sure if he'll stay clean or not. The way you describe him, I don't think you should waste your energy on that man. Maybe jail time will do some good for him. Don't think you did a bad thing. Definitely not the butthole. Not the butthole. Quite frankly, sounds like he'd be better off in jail. Not the butthole. From what you stated, it sounds like the choice of sending your ex to jail was not yours, but the court's as a sanction for failing to pay the child support. Even if he signed his rights to your children over today, he would still be subject to any penalties that the court chose to impose for prior failure to pay child support. If someone wants something from me, they have the obligation to do most of the work that makes it possible for me to do that thing. When he couldn't, or wouldn't, do something as simple as mail a letter or send a text to you to give you his address, I don't have much sympathy for him. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for a French joke I made? So this past weekend, a couple of friends and I met up. One of them brought along someone new, a woman who came from France. We all talked for a while about her country and her language. At some point, I decided to make a joke, and I told her it sucks that Americans don't really know any French beyond basic words and phrases like bonjour, merci, voulez-vous, coucher avec moi. For those who don't know, that last sentence means, do you want to sleep with me tonight? It was a famous line from a song that I thought Americans were pretty familiar with, and would know that line. Apparently she didn't get the reference, and she got really upset after. She told everyone else what that sentence meant, and they said I was an asshole. I repeatedly told her I wasn't asking her to sleep with me, that it was just a joke about a song, but she wasn't hearing any of it, and it kind of ruined the night for everybody. My friends are still saying I should apologize, but I don't feel like I did anything wrong besides make a joke that fell flat. Am I the butthole? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. First, it's a pretty common song. There's even an episode about it in Gilmore Girls. Second, you explained yourself. Once that explanation came, the pearls should be unclenched. Third, there are much ruder ways to ask someone to make the beast with 2 backs in French. Oh, and if you want a good Franglish joke, why do the French eat just 1 egg for breakfast? Because 1 egg is on a... There's even an episode about it in Gilmore Girls. I can't explain how this isn't as culturally impactful around the world as it was in North America. Pulling out that as reference to a French person would be equally as baffling. Then refer to point number 2. When you're mixing cultures, you have to be prepared for some faux pas. I cut a wedge of cheese wrong when visiting a French acquaintance and his family. Even the 7-year-old literally gasped. We both had to roll with it. On that same trip, I used my remedial French to point out the adorable ducks in the lake to his son, and he had to let me know I literally said, "Look at the little assholes. Connard v canard. Look at the little assholes. If the shoe fits. Only, if they were geese. Yeah, geese are assholes. And swans are cheaters. Swans are just geese with better PR. Yeah, but male ducks are rapists with corkscrew dicks, so, like, waterfowl man. I forgot about that. Poor female ducks. And cats. And gay male ducks, and gay male cats. And poor female hyenas, but that's unrelated to dicks, for the most part. How did female hyenas get the fuzzy end of the lollipop? I don't know. There are asshole ducks where I live. Yes. Ducks are all a holes. Never take your kids to a duck pond in mating season, unless you want to explain the facts of life. Geese and swans mate for life. Ducks have orgies, and have been known to drown some of the females each year. And accidentally experienced with a small child, and do not recommend it. No one wants to witness a duck orgy murder. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for telling my mill she is no longer welcome inside my house? I, 42 female, lost my husband 3 years ago in a car accident. Other driver was drunk. We were married for 16 years together for 20 years. We have 4 children together who are currently 13, 10, 7 and 4. Even before my AITA passing, my in-laws were hardly involved. They didn't come to any of the kids' birthday parties, school sport events, etc. Even though they only live 2 hours away. They do, however, do all those things for their daughters, 2 children, even though she lives 3 hours from them, and they have to drive within 5 minutes of my house to get to her house. Since the kids were little, till now my in-laws have been sent all school sport calendar, etc. While these might not have times of events on them, they always have dates, and if asked, times have been provided. For the first 6 months after my AITA passing, they got really involved in my kids' lives. However, over the last 5 years it has gotten even worse than before. This last Christmas, they forgot to get any gifts for my 10-year-old even though we only buy for the kids, so they were only purchasing for 6 kids. They forgot 2 out of 4 kids' birthdays. They have also been telling people that I have not been involving them with the kids. They claim that they do not know what is going on, and when even though they get sent the calendars with dates for all sports games and all school events. However, it all came to a head recently. Just these past 2 weeks, I was out of town for the first time since my AITA passing for a work conference. My mother watched my kids for 10 of 12 days. I was gone, and after asking 5 times, my mill agreed to watch my kids for the 2 days my mother was not able to. I come home, and before I can even grate my kids, she gets on my case about how bad my house is. She wants to know when the last time I oiled my cabinet baseboard, last time I pulled out my fridge, stove, washer, dryer, and cleaned the sides of those appliances. She also goes on about how dangerous it is that I allow my golden retriever to be on the couch with my kids, and that having pets inside the house is unsanitary. She starts on about CPS and stop her and ask her to leave. After she had such a strong reaction to my house, I informed her she was no longer welcome inside my house, and while I would still bring my kids to her and my late husband's family, she would no longer be welcome inside my house. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for admitting to my son that I love his mother more than him and telling him he's acting self-centered? My son moved out right after graduating college last year. Since then, he's been very preoccupied with his own life. My wife and I couldn't be prouder of him, but we do wish he made a little more effort to keep in touch spatially, since he only lives 30 minutes away. Months would go by without hearing from him, and we were always the ones to reach out first. We never complained about it to him until my wife's birthday. Her birthday was 2 days ago, and we didn't get a call or a surprise visit. She was a little upset, but chose not to confront him. I decided to call him about, not out of anger, just as a reminder. I said, "Hey buddy, you missed your mom's birthday." He immediately apologized and asked me to wish her a happy birthday on his behalf. I told him it would be nice if he could visit us soon because we miss him. Apparently, that set him off. He told me that he has his own life to live, and that we have ours. I told him I understood, but we're still his parents and want to stay close. That's when he bluntly said he doesn't want a close relationship with us, and that he's frustrated we won't leave him alone. I asked him why, and out of nowhere, he brought up something from when he was 10 years old. He said he overheard my wife and me saying that we love each other more than we love him. I was completely confused because I don't recall ever saying anything like that. When I asked for more context, he said we had been talking about our own parents' marriages, and at some point, I said something along the lines of, even though I love him a lot, I love his mother the most. My wife apparently agreed with me, and that conversation has tainted his view of our relationship ever since. I told him there was nothing wrong with what I said, and that he was acting like a self-centered brat who thinks the world revolves around him. He told me to go to hell. When I told my wife about what happened, she said I was wrong for calling him that, even though I believe it was true. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. You're the butthole. First of all, he is as you raised him. Secondly, kids don't just suddenly decide to let go of relationships with their parents because they heard something like that. In a home with engaged, available parents, kids flip out and tell their parents they overheard something upsetting, or they demand to know why they would say such a thing. They don't just keep it a secret for 20 years. Something else was going on. It may be that you meant that you love your wife and understood that she would be your partner even when your kids grew up and moved on. But clearly, you did make your child feel neglected. If you want a relationship, calling your son a self-centered asshole isn't a great way to begin. Did it even occur to you to ask how he felt, or try to clarify what you meant, or express any sadness about the fact that he did not in fact feel love? Did you think to tell him you would like to have a better relationship? Do you even want that? It wasn't just the one thing. Other stuff happened that you're not aware of, or are actively ignoring. Not necessarily. Sometimes it is the one thing. OP's kid internalized his parents' love for each other as they're not having any love for him. Few people would have the courage to address that, in case they found out it was true. He was 10 years old at the time. It is actually not at all reasonable to believe that in an otherwise loving, supportive family, a child that age would hear their parents say something like that, and that they would accept it as true in a simple, uncomplicated way that they never questioned for decades after. Or that it would never come up again. My oldest is 9. I have 3 biological children and plan to adopt in the near future. When people ask us if we plan to adopt babies, my husband and I respond with, we'll keep the oldest, the youngest, and just sprinkle more kids in between. One day last year, my oldest had a talent show, and we had this interaction. Me, if only you could bring middle child to school. Your talent is best big brother. Oldest, yeah. If only middle child didn't have to leave. Me, why would he leave? Oldest, well, when you adopt, I'm going to be the oldest. Youngest child will be the youngest. So middle child will have to leave. My child thought I was switching out his brother so that I could adopt someone else. He thought this for years. Sometimes kids hold on to weird-ass beliefs, and it doesn't come up. Sorry, but that's hilarious. It was so funny once I got over the horror that he didn't even question us potentially getting rid of his brother. This is an interaction I had with my middle child. I was asked by a friend to let his dogs out and feed them since the dog sitter wouldn't get there until the next day. They were gone for the summer, and asked me to also grab their applesauce pouches and some cookies to take home. As I'm essentially cleaning out their fridge, my middle child turns to me and just says, "Hey mommy, are we bad guys?" It didn't even occur to me that he thought we were robbing the place of their applesauce and cookies. He didn't even try to stop me, just asked for clarification on our villain status. Yes, dear, we are the applesauce bandits, the most notorious foodie crime gang in the land. We all filed the paperwork and are here legally, but we did cross the border illegally through coyotes in the 90s. My parents huffed it, but for my sister and myself, we were crossed over by a couple pretending we were their kids. Found out years later that my sister didn't know it was pretend, and thought that couple was actually going to be our new parent. He didn't even try to stop me, just asked for clarification on our villain status. Well, there were cookies and applesauce at stake. Like and subscribe for more awesome daily Reddit content. And don't forget to hit the bell to get notified when I upload new videos.